Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about ascension and Manly P. Hall. He's a great occultist and he has a lot of information that he left behind for us to put into practice and to live better lives. So today I want to talk about Jacob's ladder. And remember that everything in occultism, even in religion, is all symbolism, it's all symbols. And if you know that, then you can connect the dots. A lot of Christians, a lot of people from many religions, they think that the history in the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita and all those books happen literally when they really didn't. It's all a symbol. So what happens is that all those people in history, in those books, they are personifications of the stars. Now, Jacob's ladder, a ladder, is a symbol because there's ascension going up and descension coming down. Now, Manly P. Hall does a great job, and I want to read some of it, of the stuff that I have learned. Manly P. Hall on YouTube, you can search it up, and he has plenty of information. Now, Jacob's ladder. Let me read something from what he has to say. The highest physical aspect of existence is the purification of physical life. So, if you can see my screen in the background, you see that that's nature. That's pure. We are nature, but we forgot who we are. So we became intoxicated into the things that go against nature. Purification means the removal from the life of everything that is contrary to life and anything that is a cause of death, sickness, or destruction. So anything that goes against you or your health is not good for you. We have to be purified from that. We have to take the steps, be conscious and aware of what we're doing so that we can take the steps in the right direction. Intoxication is not good. I have done that. In the past, I got drunk many times, even though I only drank for a couple years, and then I realized that wasn't good for me. So the reason why people do it is because they cannot stand the life that they are living. Therefore, they have to look for a substance or something to help them feel better. I realized I can feel better on my own. I can live a happy life without being intoxicated. But that's just one thing. There are many things that are not good for us. You know your life. You know what you got to do. Whatever is not helping you and everyone around you, you have to purify yourself from that. So let's continue. To cleanse means to outgrow those defects which impair the person and endanger his or her world. I'm going to say it again. To cleanse means to outgrow those defects which impair the person and endangers his or her world. To outgrow anger, always maintain integrity in the presence of pressure. Now, this is difficult for a lot of people. I know it was for me. Okay, my astrological placements, I have a placement that is tough when it comes to getting angry. I have Scorpio in the first house. That is my rising sign. The first house is the house of I am. Okay, and I have Mars in Scorpio in the first house. So because the first house is the house of Aries and Mars rules Aries and Scorpio, I have a lot of martial energy. So in the past, when people used to say stuff to me that would hurt me, or or bully in school or something, I would fight back, and I would get angry and aggressive. And then later on, I understood that that's not the way, because deep down inside of me, I am not an aggressive person. It's just that I was letting anger control me. So listen again. To outgrow anger, always maintain integrity in the presence of pressure. So when you find yourself in a moment of anger or cornered, channel your energy in a different way. That's how you can get rid of that. That's how you can outgrow anger. Become the master of anger. Don't let anger control you. All right? Now, Jacob's ladder is a symbol for men's ascension. Remember, it's a symbol. Everything is symbolic here. The steps on the ladder, which is also a symbol, are the celestial bodies or the planets. So every planet is a step of ascension and descension. When we came here, we came as souls, and those planets are portals, and we come through each one of them until we become dense into matter, and we become physical. Now we have this experience, and we go through several experiences, many lifetimes, until we actually grow enough to know who we are. And when that happens, then it's time to go. Unless you want to stay here forever. It's up to you. You know, life is a game. It's just like a video game. You play it, and then once you beat that level, you go to the next level, and to the next level, and to the next level, until eventually you beat the game. That's life. Now, step number 1 in this ladder is the moon. The moon is the first step. Purification. Remember, we talked about purification. That's the moon. All things must become clean inwardly. Morally, this is purification. No more evil thoughts, hatred, and so forth. So inside of us, the moon is internal. Inner is feminine. That energy inside of us, we should not hold grudges, hatred, anger, and all these things towards other people or ourselves. Until we cleanse that, we have not beaten the first step. We must overcome that. Become conscious. Every time that happens to us, it's okay, we're humans. It happened, now let it go. You gotta channel the energy out. Don't bottle that energy in, because then it's going to affect us and we cannot ascend. So, first step, purify yourself from thoughts of anger, of hatred, of grudges. Just let it go. Step number 2, Mercury. Communication, intelligence, education. Education must lead us to idealism and not materialism. You heard that? I'll say it again. Education must lead us to idealism, not materialism. And that's what's happening today. That's why everybody is so materialistic. They think about possessions and what can I obtain? That's the ladder in this life, right? Climb to the top, the corporate ladder, the whatever ladder. You see another ladder of ascension to get to the top, but here it's all about the physical. And unfortunately, the schools or the school system here is made so that we can build ourselves up so that we can achieve the most. Then you're recognized as someone who has achieved the highest position in the earthly realm. But this is just here. In order to ascend, listen to this. Education that uses only our physical faculties for the maintenance of our physical securities is not adequate. Education must make us citizens of the whole great wheel of life. And the wheel of life, a wheel is a circle, which is also a cycle, which is the 12 signs of the zodiac, which is a day, which is the 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. It's always a cycle. So education is the understanding and the consciousness of who we are. That is the real education. Until you get that down, you won't be able to go any further. If up to here you don't understand it, go back to step number 1, purify yourself. And until you do that, then come to the education, which is Mercury, and understand that the real education is inwardly, is consciousness. The real treasures lie in heaven. Heaven is above, heaped up the head. Spirituality, materialism is down, it's lower. Okay, Step number 3. Venus. Emotional maturity. Sincerity. The satisfaction of affections is the proper use of our feelings, of unity, of responsibility. We have to cleanse the inside of our emotional cups. In the tarot cards, the cups represents the water, which is the feelings in us. So I'll say that again. Emotional maturity, sincerity, the satisfaction of affection is the proper use of our feelings, of unity, of responsibility. We have to cleanse the inside of our emotional cup. We have to purify our lives. We should become kindly people using the powers that we possess as they were intended. All misuse is tragedy. Things must be as they should be. And the way to find out how things should be is to look at nature. Look at the background that I have here. Study nature. Observe nature. You have to set time aside to learn from nature. Nature is the roadmap. It will show you the way, how things function in nature. Nature is balanced. Green. Everything is green in nature because green is the middle color, is balance. Once you observe nature long enough, you become a scientist, because science, or the definition of science, is the observation or the study of nature. That's the true scientist. If you do that long enough, you will learn how to balance yourself emotionally. Okay? Now, step number 4. The sun. The sun is the fourth one, it's in the middle. The contribution of each individual to the eternal growth of things. Why? Because each one of us as individuals, we are a sun. Okay? So the sun is projecting through us his radiance to the world. The sun is the life giver. It is protection. It is service. It is the necessary sacrifice of self-interest for the good of all things. The sun is here to rescue all life from the restrictions of ambition. Ambition is expansion. Jupiter is responsible for ambition. But ambition, too much of it, is not good, because that's gluttony. And gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins that must be overcome. And that's Jupiter, but later on that. So, one more time. It is the necessary sacrifice, we're talking about the sun, the necessary sacrifice of self-interest for the good of all things. The sun is here to rescue all life from the restrictions of ambition. If you're too ambitious, then all you are searching for is materialistic goods, and how to get this and that and have more of everything that's material. That's the ambition that people feel here. So that's not going to lead you anywhere. You can have all the money in the world. You can look at all these artists and movie stars, and after they get there, they tell you, I feel empty inside. Of course, because the inside of you is the spiritual side. We forgot about the spiritual side. All we are doing is trying to get more material stuff. A house, a car, a business, whatever, It must be balanced. Now, the individual must become a sun and give his or her light to the whole world. And what that means to me is give your talents, give yourself what you're good at, your service. The sun is service. The sun is giving us service. It's giving us his light. Okay? I must never in any way fail to share those good values with which he or she has as light of morality, light of integrity, light of consolation. All things belong to the sharing of life, one with another. We must give ourselves to other people. And what we're doing in this society is taking from other people. Take. Nature gives you everything. You find a tree that has a mango or a vegetable, and nature is giving it to you for free. All nature does this. But we, the intellectual ones, are taking, and we're not giving back to nature. It's not balanced. You take from nature, you give back. You plant a seed, you take care of nature. You know what I mean? You take care of things, make sure that things are in order, balanced. All right, let's continue. Step number 5. Once we overcome all of those, we're going to come to step number 5. Step number 5 is Mars. This is a tricky one. A lot of people fail this one. Most people actually fail on this one because Mars symbolizes competition, and everything nowadays is competition. You have this company competing with this company, you have this team in sports competing with this other team, and it's all about who comes on top. There's a winner and a loser. That's not balanced. Competition only leads to dissatisfaction, to depression. It leads to more competition, it leads to anger. So what we're doing is we're using the negative side of Mars. We gotta overcome that so that we can come to the positive side. And here's the positive side of Mars. The basis of courage. You need courage to move forward. So Mars is courage, the willingness to sacrifice self for the common good. The sign constructively of the struggle for peace. Let me say that again. Mars is the basis of courage, the willingness to sacrifice self for the common good, the sign constructively of the struggle for peace. The continuance of determination to do what is right, even in the midst of great adversity. Do what's right. It doesn't matter what's happening. Aim to do what's right, always. If you have the courage to do that, you have achieved and you have conquered the 5th step, which is Mars. Mars gives us the inspiration which makes it possible for us to fight the good fight. The fight against darkness, against ignorance. It doesn't mean that it's the fight against man or law. It's against darkness and ignorance. That's the real fight. It's not against someone else. You can't, if you hurt someone else, you're doing that to yourself. Because if you hit someone, if you use your fist to fight, right, then you haven't realized that the other person is actually you, in another body, in another perspective. Peace comes at the end of this kind of struggle because understanding and insight becomes stronger than strife. Once this is accomplished, there will be peace in the world because Mars is responsible for the wars. But until we collectively as people understand this, we will not be able to overcome the energy of Mars or the negative side of Mars. We gotta overcome this to be going to the positive energy, which is what I just described. The courage to do what is right. It doesn't matter what's happening. Whatever's happening, if you have the courage to do what's right, you're using the positive energy of Mars. Now, once we overcome this, we go into step number 6, and that is Jupiter. Jupiter or Zeus. Yes, Zeus. Zeus for the Greeks, or Jesus. Okay? Jesus goes by many names. Jesus is also the Son. But we have to understand this little by little. You will get it. Zeus was the father of the gods. Jupiter is the symbol of great intellectual maturity. Now, Mercury represents intellect and education. Mercury rules Gemini, which is the opposite sign of Sagittarius. So Gemini is ruled by the little planet Mercury, and the opposite sign Sagittarius is ruled by the biggest planet Jupiter, because it's a cycle. And then when you start in Aries and you go through all the signs, by the time you get to Sagittarius, you have wisdom. Okay? Now, Jupiter is a symbol of great intellectual maturity. It is also the basis of all higher philosophical dedications. By the way, philosophy means the love of wisdom. Okay, so Jupiter is the righteous ruler. It knows all things that are necessary to know, except that it will never be able to solve the mystery of itself. Because Jupiter is not the last step, but it has the power to understand all things except for himself. Jupiter is a wisdom in which worldly wisdom has been blended with divine wisdom. Worldly wisdom and divine wisdom has been blended. If it's being blended properly, or if this blended is proper and complete, then Jupiter becomes the symbol of the philosophic elect. The philosophic elect. The one who's been elected as a great philosopher. Okay, a philosophical person is not one who knows more than his neighbor, okay, but one who lives better than his neighbor. That is the real philosopher, because he has wisdom, and wisdom is applied knowledge. That person is able to show by his or her actions a better way of living. Okay? The Jupiterian leader, no matter how much power he has, will never abuse that power in any way. He will first of all work for the good of those he leads. It's not for himself or herself. Jupiter gives you power, but power is to help other people. That's the real use of the power. It also has a deep religious insight. Religion is not what churches teaches you. A religion is a way of thinking, is a practice of this kind of understanding of who we are, our true nature. Okay, therefore, no good leader can be an atheist. You cannot be an atheist and be a good leader because you don't have spiritual insight. If you don't have spiritual insight of who you are, you cannot be a good leader. You cannot lead people. Okay? So it's not about religion like we know nowadays, churches and dogmas and all of that. It's about this kind of understanding, who we are. That's a good leader. You understand who you are, then you help other people. A good leader is enlightened. Enlightened means that there's light in your consciousness and you can see the truth. Leadership is the privilege of service, not to abuse other people like all these great leaders in the past have done. And they have taken all the power to abuse and step over other people, and force other people, and enslave other people. A good leader is the one who serves the rest. And it's a privilege to be a leader. Now, once we have conquered those 6 steps, we go into the last step. Saturn. Step number 7 is Saturn. Now, Saturn is the ancient father who devour all his sons. Now, what that means, that Saturn is the ancient father that devour all his sons. What it means is that Saturn is Chronos, or time. Anything that is born in time must die in time. That's what it means. You're born in time, you become a son of Saturn, because Saturn is the king, the one who has the ring of this world. And then he devours you when he takes your life away. This is because Saturn is Chronos, I just said that, or Father Time. Saturn is the timekeeper. Anything that is born in time must die in time. Saturn is the king of this world. Saturn is the final statement of maturity blending inside spiritual enlightenment with material adjustments. In other words, Saturn is the complete and fully understanding of who we are, and blending the physical side of us, because Saturn controls matter, and the spiritual side of us. Once we have balanced that, we have achieved the 7th step, and then we can have the crown. We become kings of ourselves, not of anybody else, of ourselves. Saturn is therefore the symbol of balance, which when achieved makes the individual almost indestructible. That is amazing. It has no longer any conflicts with realities because it understands spirituality and materialism, or the physical side of us. Saturn is the restorer of long life. In other words, once we get here, Saturn will bless us and give us a long-lasting, beautiful life. Saturn represents the truly wise person, the sage, the person who has lived life and has now become the teachers of others. It is from the Saturn's level that the greatest leaders of people should be chosen. Leaders who would be incapable of leading people into war. That's common sense. No one who's a great leader would lead anybody into war to kill themselves. So the greatest among us must be the servant of all. And that is the position of Saturn. Isn't that beautiful? Now I'm going to leave you with this. One more thing. If the individual has followed this line through, he or she then comes into the presence of the Great One. And the Great One is Christ. Christ is the gatekeeper, the one standing by Saturn's gate. Christ means crown. Christ means light. The Christ consciousness is when we have ascended through the steps of the ladder. Now there's more related to this topic, and it's amazing. And I'm gonna show this video on my next video coming up. Okay, I have some great information, and I'm gonna link to Santos Bonacci's channel. He has a video there that he explains. He talks about the Chrism, the sacred Chrism, which is an oil inside of us, which is also called the Christ. And that sacred oil must be kept and nurtured so that we can have long-lasting life, a beautiful long-lasting life. And that oil, once it ascends and it touches the pineal gland, it gives us illumination, which is light in your consciousness, and the dormant cells, the dormant brain cells will wake up, and then we become aware and conscious. Oh, I remember who I am. But we have to do the work, and that is the real work. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you liked, give it a thumbs up, comment if you feel like it, and share it with other people. I'll see you on the next one.